All right, ladies and gentlemen, just going to get this going in 1 second. I just want to quickly update this thumbnail on YouTube, and then we will get going. Come on. This takes forever. Jesus. Let's go. Here we go. Let's just update this bad boy here. You guys are getting a detailed. Why is that the description? That's pretty funny, actually. Let's just get rid of that entirely. Yeah, we're going to be doing this live. I haven't been live on the YouTube channel or Twitter in quite a long time. It has been quite a long time. I think the last time I posted something was, I don't even remember how long ago. It's been quite a while. So we're going to get going in just a second. I just want to cross some T's, dot some I's, and then we're going to get going here. But yes, we are going to be taking a look at the New York Jets schedule here. And we are going to be, I guess this is a prediction in a way. We're going to go through every game every week, and we're going to see what we end up with, essentially. So that's the way that I'm going to play it here today. We're just going to have a little bit of fun, nothing too crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so we are live. I crossed my T's, I dotted my I's, and we're going to get going here. So kind of funny. I polled a lot of Jets fans, I guess I'd say. I gauged them on Twitter for the most part over the last couple of weeks to try and see what people are feeling, how they're feeling about Aaron Glenn, Justin Fields, really the whole lot. The schedule is relatively easy for the most part. A lot of fans are optimistic. A lot of fans just can't even be bothered and say that we're just destined for another 5-12 or 6-11 season. We'll see how it works out with this, but I think it's fair to say that this is the least anticipated season for the New York Jets that I've been a part of in quite some time. Not even just me, through fans. So if you guys don't know, I've been spending a lot of time on my other channel, the Draft Hub. I will link that channel if you're watching this after the live. I will link it down below in the comments, in the pinned comment. But I've been spending a lot of time over there. I did my season predictions where I had the Jets at 6-11, and then I did the simulation where basically I just took this, and instead of just doing it for the Jets, I did it for all 32 teams, and we went all the way through the playoffs, so forth and so forth. And yeah, they had them at 9-8 as the 7th seed. So even between myself and the playoff simulator, you know, people just don't know which way to go. So we'll see what happens. I am, you know, I'm optimistic, but not at the same time. It's really tough to say, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I'm just glad that I'm going to be back on this channel for right now. I don't really know, how much I'm going to be doing on here. Like I said, I've been trying to grow the other channel, but while people start filtering in and out, we will get going here. So 9-8 is what the playoff predictor had, losing to the Buffalo Bills in the first round of the playoffs in the wild card weekend. And then myself, I had them at 6-11. So I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but I will say I am cautiously optimistic this year, whereas I could see them going 9-8, 10-7 because of the schedule, but I won't be upset if they go a competitive 7-10 or 6-11 because we are still trying to build a culture here. It's not just about winning right away. Aaron Glenn clearly wants to build a culture. So let's see what happens here. So week 1, we're going to scroll down here. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to make a prediction for this game. A random score is going to appear with the Jets either winning or losing. And then we're just going to simulate the rest of the games. We're not going to go with every single game. We'll be here until tomorrow afternoon probably. But yeah, so I'm also basing these predictions that I'm making off of the 0-0 record. So say like week 7, we play the Patriots and they're 0-7. That's not going to persuade my way that I'm going to be predicting these games week in and week out. So we're going to not pay attention to the record for the other teams. We're just going to pay attention to the Jets here. So Jets and Steelers week 1. And yeah, based off of Pittsburgh kind of being, we're not used to Pittsburgh having a bad offseason in terms of turmoil, in terms of, kind of uncertainty with the front office. It feels like every move that they made to take a step forward, they took a couple steps back. Still not really with a true number 1 quarterback. Right now, you're looking at a quarterback competition between Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. Don't know how many games you're going to win there, to be quite honest with you. Realistically speaking, I think the Jets far and away have the more complete team out of the two. I think as long as it continues to go this way, and even if Aaron Rodgers does sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I still think the Jets have it, to be quite honest with you. I think the Jets win this game. I think they win week 1, excuse me. Let's see what the score comes up with here. So I'm going to, okay, so 26-17 seems like a relatively realistic kind of simulated score. But yeah, we're going to move on to week 2 here. And we are going to see what is going on. So my computer's a little laggy when I'm on live. So it is what it is. But yeah, we're going to go. The Jets are the first seed in the AFC after 1 week. I don't know what that tells you about the rest, but I'm here for it. All right. So you got the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills in week 2. Yeah. Especially if the Buffalo Bills start out 0-1. I don't think the Buffalo Bills. I firmly think that the Buffalo Bills are going to compete for the best record in the NFL this year. That's just the fact of the matter. I think that they did get better on a team that I didn't think was that great last year. I think they got, on paper at least. I mean, they're a good team. When you have Josh Allen, he's just such an outlier in so many different ways. Makes that offense just 10 times better. Makes that offensive line look way better due to his mobility and just is able to break sacks. I think they got a lot better, especially on the defensive side. I think Buffalo easily takes week 2. I do think the Jets have a good opportunity to potentially split division-wise. Like, I could see them beating the Bills once. I could see them definitely beating the Dolphins once. And I could see them maybe even potentially beating the Patriots twice. So you're looking at a 4-2, possibly 3-3 division record. And that will just do so much more for the New York Jets as relatively outside of the division. It's an easier schedule than most would think. So we're going to go with the Buffalo Bills here in week 2. I don't think many fans would. Okay, 31-15. All right, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, we're not going to pay attention to that. We are just going to move on forward to week 3 here. I like this. I think Pro Football Network did a really good job here of this simulator. I don't know if this was a thing last year, but I used Playoff Predictor last year and the year before that, and I love this experience with Pro Football Network. I think this is a great job. I've always been a fan of their mock draft simulator, but this is great. This is very, very easy to use, very easy to navigate. It doesn't lag a lot either. I really enjoy this. So week 3 here, we have the New York Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a tough one here. This is certainly a tough one. Could go either way. I don't know. No. Okay, they are away this week. It says it on top, home and away. Tough. That's crazy. Thank you, Josiah. You killing me, man. There's nothing. I don't know if you guys do this, if you guys do content, but whenever I'm live, because I can't see this going on right now, like on my screen, I have YouTube and I have Twitter opened up so I could kind of go along with the conversation that's going on. But yes, thank you very much, Josiah, for saying there's nothing more hot than me simulating seasons. I really appreciate that. Right back at you. By the way, whoever's watching this and whoever will watch this later on, go check out my man, J-Wack Gridiron. He has done an amazing job with his season predictions. I didn't get a chance to watch the Clemson one yet, but the Texas one, the first one that he did for college football, was unreal. You are not going to find a better, more in-depth analysis on the Texas Longhorns. And I could guarantee you're not going to find a more in-depth and thorough analysis on the Clemson Tigers. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to watch it as soon as I'm done with this. Going to get myself a little snack, park my ass on my TV, and that's exactly what's going up there. But he is fantastic, doing fantastic work over at that channel. Has grown exponentially over the past X amount of months, weeks, years, however it may be. But yeah, I this is a tough one. I think Tampa Bay is a really good team. Defensively, they only got better. They didn't really lose any pieces, any key pieces. KJ Britt Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, I guess you could say, are the key pieces that they lost defensively. Uh, this is tough. They added weapons on the offensive side. I think Bucky Irving is going to take a massive leap forward into a top 10 running back. The weapons they have on offense, Baker Mayfield, I've always been a huge fan of Baker Mayfield. Going to be tough for the Jets to go on the road and beat this team, to be honest with you. I think we start off 1-2 here. I think Tampa Bay does take it in week 3. So we're going to, let's go back there. I think I can do the whole season, then simulate the rest of the games, but we're just going to go week by week. I don't want to mess anything up, especially since we're about at the quarter mark of the season at this point. So we're not going to mess that up here. All right. Let's take a look at some of the standings just for shits and gigs here. So the Jets are at the bottom of the division at 1-2. All right. 3 games in, not a big deal. We're going to move on to week 4 here. Take a look at what's going on. We have the New York Jets. I know I am a little, for some people, they're saying I am late to the party with this. I am, but like I said, I was trying to grow my other channel. I'm still trying to grow my other channel every single day. So I haven't been on here. I haven't posted a video, or you haven't heard from me on YouTube on this channel in about 3 weeks, about 21 or 22 days. So, you know, I am late to the party, but I had the time today. So I figured I would take a crack at this and kind of gauge where everyone else's head is at, as well as my own. So I haven't also thoroughly gone through the schedule like this either. I did it rather quickly for the season predictions, but I didn't go crazy going in depth with everything. So we're going to try and do that a little bit more here. So we have the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. And I'll be honest with you, I think the Miami Dolphins are a little bit of a disaster going into the 2025-26 season. Defensively, especially in the secondary, a lot of question marks. They did make a massive upgrade on the defensive line, finally addressing that missing Christian Wilkins spot from a couple seasons ago. And they did go out and get Kenneth Grant. I thought that was a great draft pick. Offensively, the offensive line is better. It needs to continue to gel going forward. They still need pieces going forward. Tua is a huge factor. Obviously, the most important position in American sports is the quarterback position. Without a healthy Tua, this team really doesn't go anywhere. Tyreek, is he regressing? Or is he going to go back to his first half of the 2024 season? Sorry, Tyreek Hill. Is he going to go back to that? Or is he going to continue to morph into this back end of 2024 season Tyreek Hill? What's going on with Jalen Waddle? Is he going to take that consistent step forward again as someone that was a reliable, one of the best number 2s in football? We keep saying that Jalen Waddle is one of the best number 2 wide receivers in football, but he really hasn't shown it consistently, to be quite honest with you, especially last year. He was MIA for a long time there. But I think this is always a tough game for the Jets. I think if the Jets were home, like I said, it's going to be tough with the divisions. I do think that the Miami Dolphins do take this. I think this is a primetime game, by the way, too. I do think they take it. They fall to 1-3. Let's see what all right, 30-21 seems pretty realistic to me. A lot of points are being scored on this defense so far. Don't know how realistic that is, but we are moving into the quarter mark or so of the season at 1-3. So let's take a look at the rest of the simulation here, and then we are going to move on to 32-23. That was a great matchup last year. I would be very excited to see that this year as well. All right, so we're moving into week 5. We got the Jets and the Dallas Cowboys. The Jets are at home against the 1-3 Cowboys, and I got to be honest with you, they got to get on track at some point if they do want to make a playoff push here. And I think Dallas is a team that kind of plays into the strengths of the New York Jets. The New York Jets were gashed defensively last year in terms of the run game. They didn't do that much, to be quite honest with you, through the draft, do free agency, just a lot of one-year stopgap players to plug up the middle of that defense. But even with the drafting of Jaden Blue and the addition of Javonte Williams, and they signed someone else to a one-year contract, I'm drawing a blank, but it's just a piecemeal running attack. I think as long as the Jets can stay back and play aggressive coverage, I think they have this game on lock. The Dallas defense does not scare me in the slightest right now either. A ton of holes in the middle of that defense. Jets winning Dallas in 2017 is what I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm pretty much on you on that. I do think the Jets do win this game and they get firmly back on track. And let's see what the computer comes up with. 25-15. You were close. You said 20-17. Chris B, thank you so much for commenting and staying throughout this whole live so far. 25-15. I'll take it. A lot of weird scores for these simulations. You ever realize you're never going to get like a 27-21? It's always like a bunch of really weird scores going throughout. You know, like 19, 16, 15, 14. What are these simulations? Whatever. Going on to week 6, we are 2-3, and we are facing the 4-1 Denver Broncos at home. This could be a tough one here because the Jets, it's so funny. Last year, when the Jets played the Denver Broncos at home, everyone thought the Jets were essentially going to blow the Broncos out of the water, and it wound up being what, 10-9 was the final score. It was rain-soaked, granted, you know, whatever, just an abysmal game. The Jets could have scraped by with a win if Greg Zuerlein hit, I think that was like a 50-yard field goal, but it was tough weather. I mean, what are you going to do? But this is a tough one. Denver coming back to the Meadowlands here. Meadowlands, listen to me, dating myself age-wise here at MetLife Stadium. This is a tough one. I think Denver, if you guys haven't seen my playoff or my record predictions for the 2025-26 season, I think Denver wins the AFC West this year. I think this is a really, really tough game for the Jets to win, regardless if they're home or not. This is a very, very strong Denver defense and heck of an offense, adding RJ Harvey, adding Evan Ingram. They added Pat Bryant as well. The defense added Jahdae Barron through the draft, Tanaloa Hufanga. This is a really tough team. I don't think the Jets pull this off in week 6. I'll be fully candid with you guys. So we're going to fall to 2-4 here after 6 games. Not crazy. Oh my goodness. What a barn burner of a matchup. Way better than last year. 39-34. Honestly, if the Jets lose a game against Denver after scoring 34 points against their defense, how much of a loss really is that? But yeah, so we're going to go into week 7 here at 2-4. I don't think this is too far off. This is a little bit of a tough gauntlet the first 6 weeks, but oh, it's in London. Okay, thank you. I don't remember that international series. Regardless, that would be a great game for the international fans, for the UK fans to see. 39-34 against two fairly, I don't know if I'd call the Jets beloved, but the Broncos fans are always out and about. Jets fans are pretty strong in the UK, I feel like. Let's see. So you got this is week 7 now, getting into some NFC South play. Love the fact that the Jets have to play the NFC South this year, to be quite honest with you. We did lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 3. Week 7, we got the Carolina Panthers at home. I think this is a win for the New York Jets. 1-5. I said I wasn't going to allow the records to get in my way, but I think this Carolina Panthers team has a lot going for them going forward. I truly think that Bryce Young is the future as long as he takes another step forward this year. At the back end of last year, we saw a complete resurgence from him. He was a completely different player. 1-5, like I said, I don't think going into this matchup, the Carolina Panthers will be 1-5. They were rather aggressive through free agency on the defensive side. They added great pieces on the offensive side as well. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think. In terms of the NFC South, I think it's going to be a 3-horse race between the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Falcons for the longest time. The Saints are just going to be happy to be there. I do think the Jets pulled this one out, though, in week 7 here. At home, they match up fairly well against this team as well. I think the Jets pull this out against the Carolina Panthers. So we are going to advance to 3-4 going into week 8. So not necessarily bad, not necessarily ideal, I guess you'd say, for the optimists, but I'd be pretty happy after the 7-week schedule that they have. If they can 3, maybe even 4 wins, you got to feel really good about that going forward. So week 8, the Jets and the Bengals here. Tough game for the New York Jets against the Cincinnati Bengals away. The Bengals just are so stacked offensively. The one thing that I could say is the Bengals. I'm a little disappointed with the Bengals through free agency and the draft. Shamar Stewart is a player that could be fantastic, but is just such a high upside athletic player with such a low floor. They did that 2 years ago when they drafted Myles Murphy. So it's kind of like a very sideways move for me. A lot of hope, a lot of development needs to be made in those first couple of years for Stewart. Statistically, one of the best athletes the combine has ever seen. I get it. But again, a very lateral move. And then adding Demetrius Knight was great for the middle of their defense. 25-year-old rookie, but he's a high floor, high ceiling type of player. Other than that, they didn't add anything in the secondary. This Cincinnati Bengals defense will probably let them down at points throughout this year. I just think this offense is even for the Jets defense on paper, which is great. I think this is a really tough game for the Jets to win, especially away from home. I'm going to say the Cincinnati Bengals take this one. Let's see what the score is here. 33-17. Again, a lot of points being scored by the opposition on this Jets defense. I don't like it, but yes, after 8 games, essentially the halfway point in the season, we are 3-5. It is what it is. Let's simulate the rest of the week, and we will move on to week 9. I believe we have a bye week in week 9. I could be wrong. I think it's is it week 9? Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay, I was correct about that. So we could simulate this week here and move on to week 10 at 3-5. Just trying to be as realistic as possible. You know, I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below, what your season prediction is for the New York Jets. All right, this is a game we could definitely win here. The Cleveland Browns are a team that I think added some great pieces. I think essentially trading away Travis Hunter to get the pieces that they did is a long-term move, because they're going to make a long-term move to get their franchise quarterback next year. Now, I know you're thinking that's crazy, especially after they drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and they drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 5th. They signed Joe Flacco. You know, they have Kenny Pickett. They have Deshaun Watson. It is just, I've never seen so many quarterbacks in a quarterback room before. It is kind of crazy, to be honest with you, but I like the moves that they did. Other than that, I think Mason Graham is going to be a great player for them. At number 5 overall, I think that's a little tough, to be honest with you. He didn't scream top 5 player in the draft for me, but I still think he's going to be a great player nonetheless. They locked down Myles Garrett long-term. Quashon Judkins, I think, is going to be a great player for them. Harold Fannin is going to be a great successor to David Njoku one day as well. I think the pieces are in place, but I think this Cleveland Browns team just isn't going to be good this year. I think they are either going to put themselves in position to get their franchise quarterback, long-term franchise quarterback, or they're going to trade away like a top 5 pick again. But nevertheless, I think the Jets do win this game rather comfortably. Okay, 19-17 is not comfortably, but I think it's going to be much more one-sided than that. 19-17 is crazy. But like I said, we're not going to look at the scores. We're not going to look at the opposing team's records. It's going off of what we know up until this point. So let's take a look. I'm curious. I want to take a look at these Wow, look at the Dolphins are 8-2. That is kind of bananas, if you ask me. The Saints are 0-10. Oh my goodness. Saints are 0-10. The Denver Broncos are 7-3. Chiefs are this simulation does not like the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll tell you guys firsthand. I've run this simulation a good amount of times, and the Chiefs never make the playoffs in this simulation. So really interesting there. 1-8, 2-7. Yeah, all right. 4-5, 7-3. This is crazy. 7-3 for the Patriots. I don't know about all that. I think their team's going to be much improved, but I don't know about 7-3 after 10 games. And what do you know? We play the New England Patriots away from home. And this is what I will say here. I do think this is a split. I think the New England Patriots are much better than they were last year, and they beat us at Gillette Stadium last year. One of the worst games of the season, in my opinion. Just a brutal loss. They had every opportunity to win. A brutal loss. What did Jacoby Brissett score a rushing touchdown with like 58 seconds left? And I got news for you. People that were watching that game, if the Jets had to face Drake May the entire game, they would have lost handedly. Not in the final minute. Drake May was carving up the Jets defense like a Christmas ham before he was out for the rest of that game. But yeah, 7-3, I don't think is going to be the New England Patriots record. I do think they win this game, though. Like I said, it is a tough split against the Patriots anytime that we play them, regardless. You guys could not like that. It is what it is. I do think that they split with the New England Patriots home and away. So the Patriots will win this one here in this simulation. 31-20. Again, a lot of points being scored. I don't like that. I know it's just a simulation. It doesn't matter, and they're losing anyway, but don't like that. All right, so after 10 games, we are 4-6. Going into week 12 now here. Oh, rough. Oh, I mean, listen, they could give them a good fight. The Ravens are a machine at this point, a regular season machine, in my opinion. I don't think this will go the Jets' way. we're just going to get that one firmly out of the way here in week 12, and we are going to move on. 16-15. Oh, my goodness gracious. No way. Yeah, so after 11 games, we were sitting at 4-7 here. The Jets against the Atlanta Falcons. I like this game. I like being able to face all of the NFC South. I think the Falcons are going to hit this middling period this year where Michael Penix Jr. does emerge as that franchise guy. They just have a lot of hiccups along the way. I feel like this team is really good on paper, but they don't scare me in like any matchup. I had them at 9-8 in my season predictions. I think the Jets win this game. Listen, the fact of the matter is this isn't me justifying this, but they are at home, and you do have to consider some teams are just going to win games that maybe they shouldn't. And I'm not saying the Jets shouldn't win this game, but I think if there was an NFC team that represents the Jets, it would be the Atlanta Falcons, a team that I feel like could go either way this upcoming season. I'm going to say that the Jets do win this game at home, 30-20. Pretty nice victory for me. They only gave up 20 points. It wasn't a barn burner of a game like some of these other ones have gone. 5-7, still in the playoff picture at this point. Don't sleep on the Jets. So we are going into week 14 here, and we are facing the Miami Dolphins. Again, don't think the Dolphins are going to be 10-2 at this point. They already lost to the Miami Dolphins once before. I don't think it's going to happen again. You might call me whatever you want for splitting with the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots, but I feel like we see that almost every year at this point. And the Jets and the Dolphins do play some really awesome games, I feel like. And week 18 last year, Jets and Dolphins, MetLife Stadium, was a great game. Yeah, we're going to take the New York Jets here. The Jets are going to advance to 6-7. And again, they're going to put themselves firmly in the discussion for the playoffs. The AFC East is fucking up a lot of things here. 9-3, 9-4, 10-3. That is all bananas here. But yeah, they are firmly in. Oh God, these records are abysmal. What is going on in the AFC? The Jets are firmly in a playoff spot, or at least in the running for a playoff spot after 13 games. Jesus Christmas. That's terrible. Sometimes this simulation goes a lot better than this, and this is a rough one for sure. All right. Let's take a look here at week 15. The New York Jets against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jets, over the last few years, have played the Jaguars fairly well. Different Jaguars team, in my opinion. A lot of people are going to say, oh, you think just because they got Travis Hunter, they're a lot better. I love the direction that this team has been taken in. This is going to be a really tough game and this is essentially for whoever wins this game moves into the 7th seed in the playoff picture. I would feel a little bit different if the Jets were at home. It still could go either way. They did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. The year before that, too. The year before that, they didn't. It's been pretty topsy-turvy, honestly, now that I'm thinking back to it. Let's see. Travis Hunter against Sauce Gardner. Garrett Wilson. Intriguing. Yeah, it definitely is intriguing for sure. Yeah, this is a tough one, man. Again, maybe the Jets win a couple games that they probably shouldn't. This might be one of those games that they probably shouldn't win, but they might. That was just a lot of words that didn't really say anything at that point. That's kind of crazy, but I don't know. I do think the Jags are a good team. They're much better than they were last year. I think Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. is a lot for the Jets to handle. I'm going to go with the Jaguars here. I really wanted to go with the Jets. I was trying to talk myself into it, but I just can't. That's just the Jets fan in me saying, yes, they could totally win this game. And they could. I will say, if you're looking through the comment section, or if you guys are up until this point, when I'm not live right now, this is a tough game. This is probably one of the tougher ones I'd have to call. But after 14 games, a pretty brutal loss for the New York Jets here in week 15, excuse me. Moving on to week 16 here, the Jets and the Saints. All right. Doesn't matter that they're away from home. The Jets are firmly back in the playoff picture yet again at 7-8, 30-16. They handled the Saints, who I think are going to be the worst team in football. Not by choice, just because it's just bad. And look at that. Don't sleep now. But the Jets, yet again, are only a game out. With 2 games left, the Jets are only a game out of the playoff picture. And this is exactly the type of season I would want for the New York Jets. I'm not going to lie. I would love for, at this point in the year, if the Jets were still in the playoff picture, man, that would just be great. When was the last time going into week 17, the Jets weren't firmly eliminated from playoff contention? It's got to be years at this point. Jets and Patriots. Wow. Are we really going to go into week 18 with our destiny in our hands at this point? I think the Jets win. Let's see. Jets win 32-24, 8-8 going into the final week of the season. It all depends on what the Jacksonville Jaguars do here. If they win, the Jaguars lost, and then the Raiders won, and the Raiders don't look now move into the 7th seed in the playoffs. Okay, this is bananas. 6-10 for the really bananas there. But the Jets, do they hold their own destiny in their hands going into going into week 18 against the Buffalo Bills? That's got to be the worst. So here's a couple things here. Let's take a look. All right. The Bills would actually have a lot to play for here. And I think that's unfortunate because the Bills, the Bills and the Ravens are 11-5. The Texans hold the number 1 seed at 12-4. You want that number 1 seed. Also, it's two-folded. The Jets essentially, they win. Their destiny is not in their own hands, but they win. It gives them a shot to make the playoffs at 9-8. If you're the Buffalo Bills, not only do I want to win this game to potentially get the number 1 seed, you could lose out on the division too. Wow, there's a lot going on here. So you could lose out on the division, and you could lose out on the number 1 seed if you don't play your starters. I think the Buffalo Bills play their starters, and I think that puts the nail in the coffin for the New York Jets season. There's too much going on here for me to justify them not playing their starters, at least for the majority of the game. Because if they lose to the Jets could potentially make the playoffs. They could lose the AFC East if the Dolphins win, and they could lose the potential to get the number 1 overall seed and a first-round bye if they lose to the Jets. There's too much going on for them not to try and win this game. And I think they do. The Buffalo Bills just match up so great against the Jets, and they have for so long. And the Bills are just the Jets' daddy at this point. And I hate saying that. That's a crazy thing to say. But I don't think the Jets will have the firepower in Buffalo, in Orchard Park, to keep up with it. But hey, like I said, if I'm a Jets fan and we go all the way to week 18 with the potential to make the playoffs, I'm pretty okay with that. 8-9 would be a very good season, in my opinion, for the first year of Aaron Glenn and Darren Moogie. I'd be very happy with that. All right, so because we're here, we might as well just finish off the season. We might as well just do it. We're here. Let's just get it over with. We'll finish the season. All right. Interesting playoff matchups here. So who won the number 1 seed? The Ravens won the number 1 seed. And the San Francisco 49ers won the number 1 seed. All right. Let's see here. Jags could be a good spoiler. I don't think so. I think the Bills handle that. The Dolphins and the Texans, interesting. Very interesting. I don't want the Dolphins to win, but I could see a way that we'll skip that. We'll go to this one. I think if the New England Patriots have to go into Denver, I think Denver wins and advances. There's got to be an upset in here somewhere, no? Texans are good, though, man. I don't know about this. This isn't a true playoff prediction, is what I'm saying. So, I don't mind being a little quirky with this. Yeah. All right. So we're going to go with the Dolphins here, upsetting the Texans at home. I think that the Eagles firmly handle that situation. The Cardinals made the playoffs. I didn't even realize that. All right. So we're going to go with the Bucks there. And I gotta have to go with the Lions. I can't not go against them. As much as I think the Rams are such a good, heady playoff experience team. All right. So we got the Ravens and the Dolphins. Gonna have to go with the Ravens here. And then the Broncos taking on the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills. This is turning out to be not as eventful as I thought it was going to be. The Buccaneers and the 49ers. The 49ers, I feel like, are going to be sort of kind of a fake number one seed just because they have far and away the easiest schedule in the NFL. But, I'm going to go with the Bucks. I think the Bucks just have a really high-powered team. I truly think that they're that good. And then you have the Lions and the Eagles. Wow, just a really tough matchup there. In Lincoln Financial, the Lions are going to have to get some sort of playoff wins at some point past the divisional round and the conference championship. They're going to have to make a Super Bowl at some point, right? I think it's just unfortunate that they run into the Eagles. I think the Eagles got it. All right, a little eventful here. Not as eventful here. This is tough. You got the Bills taking on the Ravens in Baltimore. I think these two teams, I'll be honest with you, I think these two teams will have the best record in the NFL when it's all said and done. I think I could see 14-3 for both of these teams quite easily. I'm going to go with the Eagles and the Bills. I'm going to go with the Eagles and the Bills. And in the Super Bowl, this is the Super Bowl matchup I had in my season predictions. And I had the Eagles repeating. I don't think I'm going to get away from that here. And I'm going to take the Eagles again. All right. So the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Whatever. It is what it is. Yes, the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Let's go back to what we had over here originally. Let's take a look. I have the New York Jets at 8-9 through these week for week predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you think the New York Jets record is going to be. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed. And I hope I see you in the next one. And I hope I see you in the next live. Thank you guys.